I want to say 5.
And 2 of those are new within the last few years.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many you got running?
Right now, we got all of them running.
All of them, good.
Awesome. Thought we had 2 running.
Well, now, Jim, I'm trying to think you covered this with us a meeting or 2 ago, that where we had been taking 100,000, we had planned to take 100,000 out of the solid waste fund and put into our street program, but we hadn't done that. You said we were running, that reserve, required reserve was running low.
Right. We could not do it this year unless something just radically changes the last quarter. Mainly because ADAQ or someone might use the wrong abbreviations has required a higher amount of money we have to reserve for them. So we had to take 150,000 and set it aside.
Okay, all right. That's right. I didn't remember what the reason for that was.
Yeah, plus we bought 2 trucks and we need to build up a little bit so we can buy another truck.
Those blood suckers from the state.
Yeah,
They took our hide out on that old landfill.
That's right.
Was that satisfied? All right. Did you want to say anything about war? Did anybody have any questions for the enforcement officer? Do you have any more challenges or questions with the budget in the workshop?
So, anyone know what page code enforcement was on? I know it's near the slide.
187.
And with this particular position, we were asking for one more position, an administrative assistant.
Yes, sir. It's not an administrative position. So the way the code enforcement office is currently set up, you have a building inspector, code enforcement officer, and a planning coordinator, and then you have the administrative assistant. What we're willing to do here, and especially with a high volume of complaints we have about nuisance properties, is we want to create an additional position, which we'll call a compliant officer position. That person's role, their primary role, will be handling all the nuisance properties we have and all the code compliance issues we have in the city. Anything from checking for business licenses to ensuring the yards are getting mowed and cleaned up and any nuisance structures are being taken down in a timely fashion. The building inspector will then just focus on the building inspector and the planning coordination. What that allows us to happen is, and we'll have some redundancies obviously, I mean the compliance officer will be able to do some of the duties and responsibilities as, if you will, cross-train over to doing some of the building inspector duties, but their primary role will be enforcement of those ordinances, particularly the nuisance ordinances. And if you've driven around Camden, you see that the high level of nuisance ordinances, nuisance violations that we have in the city, and adding an additional employee will relieve that burden of workload on that one individual. Not to mention, in my current capacity, for the longest time, I've postponed taking any vacation time other than a day here or a day there, because with my absence meant we could not provide full services to our contractors. I'm the only certified and licensed plumbing inspector in the city of Arkansas, the city of Camden, Arkansas right now. So when I'm gone, there's no one to provide those services. So adding an additional employee, and generally the administrative assistant has been filling that role as well, but with one person gone, you have nobody in the office. Then we have a rash of complaints that nobody's answering our phone in our office, even when we put our cell phone numbers on the call out. So, is that me making noise? So there's a need. There's absolutely a need for this additional position, and it only would serve to benefit the city in itself. And we would still maintain an administrative assistant and just have that compliance officer who's focus is on those nuisance properties, and really the big focus we do find in the city of neighborhoods is we get people who want to come in, buy property, develop property, and live in Camden and not commute from Hot Springs, Arkansas to work out at Highland. They can live in Camden and commute to Highland. That's the idea anyway, and where I'd like to see us go.
What would be your, I'm trying to think of, I'm saying, requirements, specifications, credentials that you'd be looking for a person that you're going to start out at $40,000 a year?
So we would absolutely hope that we would get somebody, but having that salary that has a law enforcement background. A lot of people have a misconception that you can't violate civil rights or that you can't violate the law in this position. We have some of the same requirements that law enforcement in the traditional sense has, and as far as understanding what laws are, what's allowed to be inspected, are you allowed to go here, what are your limitations without violating the law. So we'd hope that having that salary, we'd have somebody with a primary law enforcement background, but also if that wasn't the case, then we have the opportunity to bring somebody that has experience in building inspections, that has experience in code enforcement. So those, and I am rewriting the entire job description to make sure that we can fit this model. If it doesn't pass, we'll put it on the back burner until next time. But if it does pass, we'll already have it ready to go. We'll already have it, and I'm telling you, as soon as, my desire is as soon as this is passed and accepted, and I'm given the go-ahead by the city attorney and the treasurer and the mayor to post that position, I want to post it and get out there. But the idea of putting the salary where it was, and I'm sorry, I'm just drawing to dodge the question, but the important thing was getting someone with experience. This isn't a position where you just can find somebody and throw them in and hope they learn on the fly, because that's bad for the city. If you have somebody with no experience coming in and trying to fill these positions, then you're going to end up with violations in code like we have all over the city right now. We have our own most recent constructions, and some of our things that we've allowed to happen are in violation of codes we've had since the 1980s. And this is in construction from the 90s and the 2000s. Not to criticize anybody that had this role before, but when you're trying to learn on the fly and you have a high turnover ratio in this particular position, it damages the city. And that's, it's just the long and short of it. So I'm hoping by adding the competitive salary to where it's at, and what we did was when I looked at the models is we just basically turned around and modeled it after the police department's budget. That's where we took it from. So hopefully that'll make it more competitive and we'll get a highly qualified person that wants to stick around for a while. Yes, sir.
So the assistant that you have now, she's not kind of going out in the field a little bit now?
Actually, she is right now going out in the field, Mr. Joe. And she is learning cross-training because we have to. If one of us is gone, the other one has to pick up that workload. So that is currently what's happening. The deficiency that we have there is the amount of work that accumulates when we're not here starts to be a roadblock. And a lot of what we do is time sensitive. We do have legal requirements for time based on public notices, agenda meetings and things of that nature. So whenever you have just two people, I live by the rule of, two is one, one is none. And so when one of us is gone, it's almost like, we're sitting there at a roadblock at one capacity or another and not being able to it's a lot of stress. I'll tell you, it's a lot of stress, and I put in a lot of late night hours I come in on Sundays sometimes just to make the next week easier. And I don't charge the city for it. I just figured it benefits me to get it done on a Sunday evening and make it easier for the next work week. So, did that answer your question, Mr. Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, well, we're hearing more items we need to discuss tonight in the budget workshop.
I have a comment. When we had this meeting a year ago, all the department heads were given substantial raises. I was assured by everyone sitting at this table and those that are missing that we would not be asked for department head raises again this year, that we were going to fix the problem with the people below department heads and get their pay leveled out. And as long as department head raises are on this budget, I will not be voting to approve it. I'll just tell you that straight out. I feel like I've been lied to again sitting at this table, and I'm tired of it.
If I may make a comment, and Mr. Edward, I appreciate your opinion on that. My department is requesting a raise for the department head for the building inspector. And I want to give some insight. I can't speak for the other department heads, But this is my home now, and I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I have accepted a position at another place. I'm going to be leaving soon. And if you leave the salary for this position where it's at, you're not going to get the highest qualified individual to come in. And I understand your position. I don't know what was said last year. I completely appreciate where you stand on that. But I'd like to ask that you consider the fact that not everybody is going to be able to come in and fill the positions, a highly qualified individual, especially someone with experience in building inspections, with experience in contract work. You can make more money elsewhere. And if you don't take that into consideration with raising some, it benefits me not. It really doesn't. So that's why I wanted to say this. I'm not going to benefit from you raising the department head pay for the building inspector, the code enforcement officer. It serves no benefit. October 28th is my last day. And so I think it's very important to take into consideration that if you want a highly qualified individual with little to no turnover, I was satisfied with the salary. I took it knowing what that was. I just happened to have a really good opportunity pop up for me, and I made that decision. But please, and I know your opinion about being lied to, I understand that completely, but please take into consideration that having someone come in for this particular position in such a demanding job for the salary that is already there. I had the benefit and the blessing of having my military retirement supplement my income, so it allowed me to accept the position. But please take that into consideration with this budget because I want whoever comes into this position, if the mayor allows me to be a part of the hiring process, I want the person to come in here to have experience, knowledge and understanding, but also a desire to see this city progress forward, by keeping and holding our citizens to the standard in our zoning ordinances, but not just someone who's going to just fill the position. And I think that having an increased salary, maybe not right now as the hiring process starts, but knowing that they can work up to that, I think it would really benefit the city. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to say that, but I think please just take that into consideration. So.
You said October, what is
28th.
your last day?
Yes, sir, it's going to be my last day. I was offered a dream job and a good opportunity to teach, and as y'all may know, I'm in grad school now trying to get my master's in teaching, and I was thinking in 3 to 5 years I would be teaching somewhere, and I eventually want to get my doctorate so I can do research and have a university pay for that research. So my 3 to 5 year plan got fast tracked a little bit. So
Well, I tell you what, I know we'll be seeing you around, but
yes,
I want to applaud you for the job that you have done. Appreciate everything you've done. I mean, man, you worked your butt off.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I think
And I don't know exactly who we're referring to that may have lied to you. However, when we had a meeting about it, myself, the city clerk, Travis, and Ms. Amy were supposed to work together on a schedule as well as a pay schedule on how we would graduate people through and some other things. And I just couldn't pull it off all by myself. I would actually need clerk. We were supposed to write up the job descriptions. We were supposed to have help with some of those things. And I cannot do that by myself. I mean, it's impossible for me to do that.
The employees didn't show up this year?
The employees didn't.
All the people you just named, they didn't come to work this year?
Of course, he's the new Travis.
I understand that he's new. I get it. But we showed up for work every day, right? We just didn't do it. We were supposed to have several workshops to fix this throughout the course of the year.
But we had said in March. We said that, last year we said we started in March.
No, last year we said we were going to start in February, and we never had a meeting. Never, till tonight. I've been BS'd, I've been lied to, and I'm not having it.
Okay, so who's been doing all this lying?
Apparently you. You're the one sitting in the boss's seat.
Well, all right.
weren't you sitting there last year when everybody at this table said, yep, we're gonna give all the department heads the pay raises that they're asking for. We're not gonna hear from the department heads next year because we're gonna fix everybody underneath them so that we don't have employees working overtime, making more than their supervisors. And those meetings never happened, not once. And now we're asking for department head pay raises again. And you're wanting to throw out that people make a minimum wage or a threat to your salary cap? I'm not,
Well, if you'll allow me just a moment to respond to some of that. I apologize if you heard that, but that COVID-19 has actually put a dent in some of our meetings. We didn't even have city council as a result of COVID-19.
once.
That
was your decision.
All right. Yes, sir.
I think we really need to take a look at the thing Don Stewart put out. Like we used to have the step raises, every so many years you get rewarded by a percentage for staying on. Instead of trying to pass a budget, some of these salaries are going up from $8,000, some of them up to $16,000 a year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we discussed at that meeting last year was to consider the step raises and the incentives and it seemed like at that meeting, nobody really knew exactly which department's got which set of rules.
That program and that information is not on my computer. There is a program that the city has afforded that helps with that. I don't have that program. So it was going to be a group effort at one time that was going to work together to do that. That did not happen, but I can't do things like that alone.
Can we put this on hold till we can get a group and get?
Well, I'm an elected official, right? And one of the other parties is elected. So I can't tell an elected official what they're going to do. I think that's the rule that I've been given, is that I can't tell another elected official. I'm at the mercy of that elected official to agree that we're going to sit and do this work. I come here and I come to work, I do the hours that I'm supposed to be here, and I do the hours that I'm not.
I understand, I'm not blaming you for it.
But I don't have the computer program. I can't pull this off. But that's all I'm saying is that if I could do it, it would be done. It's written on a piece of paper on my cabinet that I wanted it done. The people who are under my charge don't have that program. She doesn't have that program on her computer, and neither did Travis. And so if we have a code that will make this easier, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can take some of those job descriptions and the different departments like police department, fire department, they can do their own and turn those in. But you got other departments that you would have that we already have a standard for. We take that standard and we tweak the standard for our office, for the city of Camden.
Can we invite that person that has that thing to the next meeting and us as a whole ask him about?
But we're going to teach you that program, sir.
I don't need the program. When you want the job done, you don't need me. I don't need
Exactly. I agree. And I understand dealing with an elected official, but you are not out of line at all by insisting that an elected official join you in a meeting. That's not out of line at all, sir. That is well within your scope.
Well, it's not as easy as you think. I'm actually the one who's being told, but who's been told several times, who doesn't work for me. And some of the things that I deal with are not normal circumstances and situations. They're not normal. The way people talk, the way you talked to me a moment ago, kind of had me feeling some type of way. I'm not used to it. I'm toughening my skin because that's what I've been encouraged to do. But there's some things that are just not in decorum sometimes. And so when someone tells me I don't work for you and I can't make them do something they don't want to do. And I couldn't do, if we have a program that already does that job, and I ask, can we sit down and can we do that? And for the most part, ever since this election was going to happen and some jobs were up, we've been seeing a little bit more of one of the elected officials. And I thank you for whoever encouraged that. But before that, it wasn't what you think. And I think that there's a misunderstanding. You think I get to run it, but I don't get the power to do the stuff that you guys are suggesting. I wish I was. You know, the guy came in the other day cussing, calling me the HNIC and all that. I wish I had the kind of power that is perceived. The gentleman who came in calling out the N-word. This is not what you think. There's some people out here that, and they get rough with me like you talked a minute ago. They do that. That's normal here. But I'm telling you, my skin is not as tough as you think right now because it makes me feel some type of way. I don't talk to people that way because I don't want people talking to me the way you talk to me. Now, I didn't mean to lie to you if I lied to you, but I can't do this by myself. That's why there's a team of people that's supposed to be here. And you don't get to show up because somebody's going to run against you. You show up because it's the right thing to do. We get paid to be here. We get paid to do a job. I'm here tonight. Yesterday was my birthday. I want to chill. I don't want to be here like this all the time, but I have to do what I have to do. But I can't tell one person what to do. I'm not empowered. When I came in the first couple of weeks, they told me, I don't work for you. You're not my boss. And we came in and we had this discussion in my office. And you know some of the people who talk to me and let me know they don't work for me. But they work for these people. And these people, if I go out and tell all the things that happen, all the things I feel, it looks fair. So I have to take it. I have to sit there and act like it doesn't bother me. But it does. I am not responsible for the HR parts of the things. And when we gave those assignments to Amy after we gave a raise to someone else. And I know you were paying attention to what happened. We came right in here and gave the money, and then turned right back around and gave her the work. We did that right there, right in broad daylight. I'm asking you to just be considerate of the fact. I did not intend to mislead you. I really thought that when we agreed that we were going to look at the schedule of pay, that's what we were going to do. But if it's a lie, I'm not the only one who lied to you, sir.
No, sir.
It took a team effort to get that lie across.
It did.
Well, we need to share that. And you need to go right back to the other people and go look at
Given the opportunity, I apologize for offending you. I had no idea what goes on day to day up here at City Hall. I don't come here every day. I come here about once, maybe twice a month.
But
If you don't tell us, I
told you not to give her a raise because she wasn't coming to work. That was what I said in the office. And she came right in the office and I said it right in front of her that I didn't think it was fair because she wasn't present. And she stood right there. I said right in front of her because I think somebody thought if I bring her in that I would bite my tongue. And I said, don't do that. You did it and then gave the work to my assistant. The very next month, it wasn't 30 days.
We hired a new assistant, didn't we?
We most certainly did. We hired you another new assistant.
Okay?
The very next month.
So
She can't touch sensitive stuff. When you start talking about HR, that's separate. HR is locked in a room. It's locked in a cabinet. It's not the same thing as running companies. When we start talking about how much people get paid and people's social security numbers, that is some sensitive issue. So I can't give an assignment like that to anybody walking the hall or to the next person that walks by. And I'm asking you to be sensitive to the fact that I did not want to be misleading, but I can't do the pay schedules for City Hall. I want someone with the system that's already provided, and we use that system, we work together, and we do it, but it's going to be all of us together. I've never seen this individual at our staff meeting, our department head meetings, where we sit and walk through some of these things and try to get some of it right. We discuss budget. We have to figure out how to come and present ourselves before you. We didn't just haphazardly show up tonight. Some of this we talked about one-on-one to support each other and to help each other and to build this up so we can get some things we need. But that's the department heads. Those are the people that I can say, sit down, we're going to walk through this. We decided not to leave anybody on. You notice tonight, nobody said, well, give it to us, don't give it to him. Or we deserve more. We're being a team. But I need to be empowered to lead so I can be that leader that you're saying by being in charge. But if I can't run the building, or if I can't say, this is what time we open, this is what time we close, or if I'm going to a meeting and somebody hop up and say, everybody can go home, that's not normal. I can't come to your house and tell nobody what to do.
We wore this out.
That's what I feel.
I can't hope that an elected official is not under the scope of, I didn't create the law. I apologize that it's messing up the way things run up here. I didn't create the law. If there's something we can do to fix it and make it better, I'm all ears. I am all ears.
Needs to be shared. The same accountability that you're putting over here, you need to put that same type of accountability on all the persons who are just as elected as you are. The people need to hold us accountable.
I agree.
Let me say something, please. We all got a job. I think we get into name calling and personnel, and some stuff we don't need to be talking about. This is the type of rhetoric that a lot of people feed on. And I think we need to reel it back in and let's all go on and take a good look at the budget. We're going to read again. And Chris, you ain't going to vote on it, you ain't going to vote on it, But hopefully next meeting we'll have a change, but, man, this back and forward and stuff like that, man, we need to stop. I mean, man, we all grown, not saying you disrespecting nobody or the mayor disrespecting you, but we don't need to be giving the community nothing to laugh at. We really don't. We really don't. I'm serious, so we need to stop it, y'all. Kevin, you got something to say?
I'll only take about 2 minutes. This is extremely uncomfortable for me, because I'm never the one to pat myself on the back or take any credit for anything that I do, period. I wasn't privileged to be here last year when y'all had to meet about. I wasn't here. I like my job. I love my job. I give the best that I got to the city. And I'll say this, I do have 3 supervisors. If they work 3 hours overtime, they make more than I do. Not 6, 7, 8 hours. They work a few hours overtime a week, they do make more than I do. I still get up, come to work and do everything I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it, because I agreed to do it. So it's uncomfortable selling myself, so to speak. This makes me uncomfortable. I'll probably regret this tomorrow.
Well, let me stick up for you, because yours was cut down last year because you were new on the job. And you deserve getting the kudos in there for sure.
You were not part of the last year conversation.
You were not part of the last year conversation.
That's what we need to take into consideration.
Well, yeah, right, yeah. And I don't mean to make blanket statements, but,
May I approach the panel, please?
now I'm going to jail.
Well, then obviously it's going to be the fire chief and I that you're talking about, because I'm the only 2 left.
Well, yeah, so the chief and the mayor all agreed last year that if you were given the substantial pay raises you received last year, we would not be having this conversation this year, that we would be able to go in and fix the problems that we had beneath you and get everything to a level where we would not just be coming in here throwing money year after year after year at a problem and only making more problems.
So what I agreed to last year, we did step raises, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Green, and we did 4, 3, 2, 1, and I was the one. So I wasn't like a substantial compared to the rest of the department. So we did try to make the ladder more even. But mine wasn't substantial when you talked about 4, 3, 2, 1, and I was the one. But what Kevin said is exactly right. I'm stuck at a salary. I make the same salary every year, no matter what. And these guys are making overtime, and they're finding ways to make money, and they're just out making money more than I am. So I don't understand. I guess for me, I'm trying to tell you that if we're providing a service for the cities of Camden, are we worth our salaries? Are we doing what you're asking us to do? And it can be different I hope we don't ever get into the point where you say, well, this was last year, this is what we're gonna do, because the world's evolving. And we can't keep living in the past. If we're earning what we did in 2020, I'm asking you to pay these people what they deserve.
But even in the private sector, people make more than their supervisors because they want to work more and do that. That's just the way it is. Supervisors are in a good salary most of the time. My supervisor, I can make more than him if I want to. There's people at the highway police that make 20, 30,000 more than their supervisors because they work the interstate and work the protection thing during the roadblock things, and that's just the way it is.
Here's one of the things about the jobs that these gentlemen work. Whenever someone in the city decides that they want to throw an event or do an event, we don't vote on those events. They happen. They show up. That's how easy it is to get overtime. So as a leader, if someone's trying to do something that gets people out of the house that brings some attention to the city, I say yes. But every time, it ends up working more people, and it's always coming out of the budget. They're managing well. But I'm asking, I guess to just piggyback his word, if it's a better way to do the job, I'd be more than happy to listen, but I literally try to give my best every day. And so I don't think I should have to continue to sell myself or beg to be comparable to what's going on just around us if we have it and we're trying to be competitive, because one day the person you want might be in the job. And when they get here, they want it for this. So if that is the challenge that we're up against, why not take an opportunity and set things to where we're at least comparable in the region that we're in?
The disappointment, I think, here is the fact that we went through the same thing last year. You said, okay,
nothing's been
let's go
resolved.
ahead and run this, but we've got to have a serious workshop. And for us, we don't work with this on a day-to-day basis. We don't understand all the internals. How many people are at minimum wage versus a step above that? And y'all have these license and credentials where you get a step increase or this, that, for, so we don't, you know, police fire department does, I guess.
No, I'm an exempt employee, so I don't get any.
Well, you don't, but I'm saying.
And that's the problem. That's why when we say the department heads aren't getting it, we're absolutely not getting anything. We passed an ordinance that said I get it, and I still don't get it.
Okay, well,
We passed an ordinance that said that the police chief and
that's what needs to be reviewed. We don't know that.
That was a ruling sit down from this council that I didn't get what an ordinance said I did. I don't get that pay.
Well,
and I'm just stuck there when officers get it.
But that's my point of why the workshop was supposed to iron these.
See, I didn't know that. I thought you got all that pay.
Email. You're the one that sent the email that disagreed that I got certificate pay when we passed an ordinance that said I did.
It was a,
and you said that I did not get it.
It said it capped it at whatever, $66,000 or whatever. That's what it said. That was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even
so
remember
my
that.
salary is $66,000. Policy says I get certificate pay, but you sent an email that says I'm still capped out no matter what.
Well, I thought we talked about the certificate, and y'all said no certificate, 66,000, that's what, as far as we're going.
Then why did we pass an ordinance that says,
why did y'all say no, we were going to go farther than that? You said you wouldn't worry about your certificate pay as long as we went up to the 66,000.
Again, this is why we needed to have that workshop.
But if a new chief comes in today, he's gonna make $66,000. No matter what his certificates are.
Well, that's why we need a pay rate. They don't need to start the same thing the old chief gets, because the old chief's.
But new chief shouldn't start where you're at now.
But they do.
See, we needed to have this workshop this year.
I agree.
And it didn't happen.
I totally agree. I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. I consider Assistant Chief Nash my friend. If he's gonna come in year one, making the same year that I do today, is that what we're saying for 2021?
Well,
I'm not.
If we don't
I'm just
have,
asking the question.
if we don't have a workshop that does something different, I guess that would be.
I think he should. He's got the experience, but if we're talking the department heads is what you called out.
Right.
He's gonna start January 1 making what I have after 8 years. So how do we resolve?
Doesn't seem right, does it?
No, it does not.
Exactly.
Those are the issues that should be hashed out.
That should have been hashed out at several workshops throughout the course of the year.
I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. I'm compassionate about the police department.
Yeah.
I want to provide the service, the best service possible. And I want to take care of my people, but I can only take care of my people, I gotta take care of myself.
Exactly.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Is there anything else for the workshop tonight? All right.
We definitely, I think, there's some issues here that we definitely need to iron out, I think, before this budget passes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because kicking the can down the road, but once we pass this budget, it's in there, and then we have to deal
Live with it for another year.
We have to, and not just that, we can't really go back once we pass it, I don't think. So we need to, you know, get some kind of, you know, if a new police or fire chief or new public safety, or new public works director or a new parks director comes on, we need to have something kind of that says, okay, this is where you start out, now this is where you'll go to after, and, you know, this is how you'll step up. You know, and kind of the same thing, I think, with you know, kind of everyone. Granted, it'll partially depend, I think, on their qualifications for taking the job. You know, as someone with lots of experience, of course, they'll start a little higher than someone who is coming in with less, but I think this is something that we definitely need to work out before we pass this budget. I mean, that's my thought on it.
Okay, so Attorney, when it comes to the payroll and stuff like that, is that the city clerk and the city treasurer that helps with that particular portion of it?
The city treasurer doesn't have anything to do with HR. That is not a function that I will take on, no.
Payroll.
What else?
I think.
You talking about setting salaries, or you talking about?
No. If we're getting ready to do the pay schedule and to start figuring out how we're gonna do steps and all of that, who needs to be at the end of the meeting?
You.
I just sit there and do it.
That's you. You can buy a computer program, you got assistants.
We have the program, so just,
Well, if you don't have access to it, I guess you need it.
I can get it from, okay. So just, okay, knock myself out.
Deal with salaries, yeah, if it's salaries, I mean, you're making a proposal, the council's the one that's gonna vote on it.
Well, that just gave me some busy work, but all right. I guess that simplified the process. Yes, ma'am.
Happy birthday.
If I'm not mistaken, you're talking payroll as far as cutting checks, right? Bi-weekly and weekly. That's the magical program. It is by ordinance and by law. I mean, not everybody should have their hands on it.
Well, this isn't, I'm actually cutting the check.
Right, I mean, she's cutting the check, right, you're not setting the.
Yeah, this is just setting the
Right,
salary.
that's what I was trying to
Setting
say.
a percentage on a step.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to have a pay scale.
I'm not saying you need to buy the checks, I mean, you don't cut the check, but if we're putting in the amounts, I think that's gonna be the council with you setting forth your proposed budget.
Or basically, what are the hourly rates for however many hourly employees you've got, or see some of that stuff. But what, you know, if you, there again, what I asked Kevin, was saying, okay, you've got this built in here for the minimum wage increase to $11 an hour. Well, if we bumped it to $11.50, what would be the impact on our budget? How many people are working at that minimum wage rate? So would it cost us $10,000 or $20,000 to bump that up a little bit? And those kind of things, there should, I was hoping in the program that would be able to help with that, if you knew about how many hours were affected.
Now, let me address this.
Yeah.
What you just said, I can do.
Oh.
And I do that with the budget, and I tell you the impact.
Okay.
I cannot put together a personnel scheduled step plan.
Right.
That is an HR function. It has to be sent down and has to be done appropriately.
Okay.
All I can do is what you got in front of you that says, here's what they're making, here's what they're requesting, here's the impact to the budget.
Okay.
Somebody else needs to take the HR problem as what the mayor was saying. That person has it, I've seen a printout of it, but have no idea who, what, when, and where, and the state of condition is in. that's gotta be fixed, and we're gonna have this argument every stinking year until it's fixed. And I'm not the person to fix it.
But you can't tell me what that 50 cent was. Okay, good.
So again, Mr. Fry, is the mayor or is it HR and the mayor?
The chief executive officer. You're talking about him as the chief executive officer.
Well, for someone that's been on this board for a while, how's it been done in the past? I mean, with the previous administration and the one before that, I mean,
It got kicked down the road and ignored. That's how we got into this position where we're in so much trouble now. Nobody has ever addressed this issue. In the 10 years I've been sitting here, it's never been done.
They would come back and we'd get down to a tie and we'd say, oh, you need to do a 1% raise across the board, 3% raise across the board, because nobody knew how to get down that to the, meet us coconut.
That's, as was wishing long ago, that it was a happy birthday, I received that, let's make it happen. You ready to go? All right, thank you so much.